Hey, welcome back. This video is going to be a replay of a TikTok live that I did where we made balloon distortion flowers as well as a few twisting flowers. You're going to hear me reference a Facebook group a few times. I'm going to link that in the description of this video below in case you want to check that out. And I will also link in this video a couple of the tools and things like that I used. Otherwise, I will let you guys watch it. I did speed it up a little bit so that we could get through it a little bit faster. If you have any questions or anything else that you want me to make videos, lives, things like that on, please let me know. And I won't talk to you anymore about it. Let's get into it. I'm going to make balloon flowers tonight. First, I'm going to do distortion flowers, and then I'm going to do some twisting flowers with modeling balloons or 260 balloons. But I'm going to get started with the distortion petals while I wait for people to get in here because that's at least six petals repeated. So I'm going to make a few and see who shows up. It took me a little while to get live tonight because I could not figure out how to turn my dual camera off because I used that last time. It was a whole thing. But all right, here we go. So I'm going to make my first petal for my balloon distortion flower. So I'm using a Tough Tex white balloon. The first thing you want to do is blow it up at least once and stretch it out. Like, do not skip that step. If you skip this step, what you'll find is you'll make like bike seats instead of being able to like spread out your balloon flowers. All right, so stretch it out. So I prefer Tough Tex for these ones, and then I'm really finding that I like Decamex modeling balloons for like everything else. So I've got a clear one. I also prefer to use clear for most flowers because that way if anything shows through, like it's not going to show through because it's clear. If you use a dark color, sometimes it will show through, which you could do on purpose. But all right, so now I'm going to fold this in half, and it just kind of like really easily just slides right down into this balloon. Okay, and then we're going to split it and blow it up again. So I still got the tails hanging out of that modeling balloon that I used. And then I prefer to use a 260 inflator for this part. So I'm just going to put this nozzle down on the inflator. Let me scoot this so that I can see if anybody says anything. Welcome everybody. So I'm going to put this nozzle down and then turn on my inflator and just let it kind of do the work of blowing up the 260 balloon. And sometimes it takes a second. And then I stop. I can see here like it definitely blew up. And then I'm just going to pull the tails out. It's okay if you lose air in this balloon while this is happening. You can always blow it back up. But I'm pulling out these two tails, and then I'm going to quickly tie these off. So again, if I lose air in this bigger white balloon, it's not a big deal. But I'm also going to try not to, just to like save myself the extra step of having to blow it up again. So now you can see this ridge here, like where that balloon inside is. And I did lose more air than I wanted to, so I'm going to trim off these excess. And then I'm going to go ahead and add some more air back into my big white balloon. Not a ton, just enough to make it like round again, okay? And then before I let the air out, the next thing I want to do, so you can see down here, right at the bottom of the nozzle is where my two ends of my 260 are, and I don't want them right there at the bottom. I want to scoop them. So I'm just going to kind of like move it with my fingers so that now you see I'm moving. So now the bottom of the 260s is here and my nozzle's back here. So what I do by doing that is I'm pushing this nozzle to the back of the balloon rather than to the bottom so I can really ensure that nobody's going to see it. So now that I've got that, the next part is, in my opinion, 50-cent piece of plastic, in my opinion, is the hardest part, which is modeling and shaping this petal. I have found, especially when you're starting out, the easiest way to do it, you see a lot of people in movies and videos doing this in their hand, but like I like to put it on a surface, so I'm going to use this ironing board that I'm working on here. I'm going to push with my hand, so I've got the 260 around this way. I'm going to push with my hand, my flat palm out as much as I can. Thank you so much for the likes, you guys. And I'm going to pull down on this nozzle while slowly letting, actually, I'm sorry, I got this backwards. I want the nozzle in the back. While slowly letting air out, and I'm pulling it into a curve. With this bottom hand, I am pulling it this way. And I'm just slowly letting air out while I pull that curve. Doing this is going to prevent it from turning into that bike seat where these two edges of this 260 when it come together and then create that curve. So now I have my first flower petal. Okay? So these, actually this is a good chance for me. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. Do you see my handprint there? I don't know if you can see that in this. If you can, this is really nerdy, you guys, but I do keep a white glove that came in like some backdrop thing that I have. And if I'm doing this for like a display, I will, especially the white balloon isn't too bad, but in other colors, that handprint, it's the oils on your hand. It shows up a lot more, and I'll put on the white glove to like hide it. So I'm not gonna do it tonight because that's just too much. All right, so we've got our first flower done. So I'm gonna leave that right here so that you can see what we're doing, and I'm gonna make the next one. So I have found that like the cheaper balloons that you use, honestly, the worse that this goes. The better the balloons, the better it goes. And Tough Tex balloons, I think, do the best job. Hi, Shelly, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I have found that like if you don't stretch the balloons, or if you use not very good balloons, It collapses. My 260 collapses every time I try these. Okay, so Melanie, are you using, I honestly can't do this very well with a hand pump. I've tried. I don't even have one here with me today. I'm not even gonna like try with you because I can't do it. So that's my first like thought is maybe try a 260 inflator. But let me get into this. Let me get my 260 and then let's see what stage you're struggling with. So first things first, I'm gonna blow up this balloon. What I was saying before, by the way, is that Tough Text does, I think, the best job of like stretching. Like when you stretch it out and it gets all wrinkly, like that's the good stuff. Okay, so the other thing, Melanie, is I really prefer, like I have found that the type of 260 that you use kind of matters. I really like Decamix better than Tough Text 260s, if you can believe it. So here's my 260. It does help to put it in like this. You see how my nozzle is just a tiny bit longer than my tip there? And then I'm gonna put it in here. Just let it go like that. All right, next we're gonna blow up the 11-inch balloon. Okay, so Melanie, I'm guessing this is like the part that you're struggling in. Tell me more details, like when it's collapsing. But I'm going to, can you see? Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and slide this nozzle onto my 260 inflator. It's okay if you lose air out of your 11-inch balloon while you do this. And then inflate. Sometimes I have to like stretch it out to get the air to go through. This is like the only downfall of using a 260 inflator, I will admit. Okay, so sometimes I have to do this too. Okay, sorry guys. This is real life. This is what I get for doing it live. So let me try that again. But the good thing is my Tough Text balloon is like super. All right, let me try that again. Slide that on. I know that if I was using a higher quality 260 inflator, this would go better. This is like $20 on Amazon. Oh my gosh. It's really, there we go. All right. And in doing all of that, I'm totally losing the tail. I've lost the tail. Okay. Okay. This is real life. Full of face palms. Let me try this. Oh, one more time. This balloon is still good. The molding balloon. Yeah, this one. I think, right? This is what you're referring to, your 260. All right, let me try this again. Slide that on. There it goes. All right. So, I'm not sure where you're collapsing, so I'm going to talk through this part really slowly. Right now I have my finger wrapped around the nozzle of the 12-inch balloon or 11-inch balloon and the nozzle of the 260 and the tip of the 260. I'm just going to slide it all off together so it's all still right there. I'm going to pull out the nozzle. I'm holding on really tight with these fingers. Sometimes they cramp while I'm doing this. That doesn't come out much. I'm going to pull this one out. That's going to come out a lot more. Holding on really tight. And then I'm grabbing these two. I've got it closed so nothing's going to come out. No air will come out of the 260 balloon. Okay. I still have my fingers on these so no air can come out. And then I am wrapping these up into a knot as fast as I can. The air that I'm losing right now is coming from the 11-inch balloon, which is fine. So now I've got these in a knot. Now you're not going to lose air. Melanie, I wonder if you're talking about that you're losing air from the 260, like after this process is completed. If so, let me know. Let me show you this next step. So again, I've got my nozzle of my 11-inch like flush with the bottom of the 260, and I don't want it to be. I want this to be in the back of the pedal, not at the bottom. So I'm just going to work it with my fingers. Go the other way. Just kind of scooting it back. So now this is the bottom of the 260, and my nozzle's in the back. You can go far back as you want. I don't really need to go much further back than this. And then again, I find this to be the hardest part. I'm going to, can you see? I am putting this on the edge of my ironing board here. Right here is where the side of, oh, so you're getting, maybe I'll do this on purpose after I finally got it blown up. Okay, you're getting where it goes. Wide palm, and try this method. Every video I've ever seen, I have never seen anybody do it like this with this surface here. Everybody that I ever see like is either pushing it flat down on a countertop or holding it in their hands and letting the air out. Try this where you put your hand flat and you keep, your hand is keeping it from collapsing, this hand. And then as I let air out, I am bending the bottom of it back. Down here at the bottom. I know you can't see this, but this hand is bringing it back and towards you, back towards the camera from the bottom, so that I'm actually bending and like curling the balloon as I let the air out. Okay, and my hand here is keeping the 260 from collapsing next to itself. Right? And then the other thing that I would suggest is making sure that you are using a higher quality 11-inch balloon, because that is actually, that's kind of where I was saying before. When you use a lower one that doesn't stretch as well, actually mine is, it's a little bit starting to do what I think your problem is, what your problem is. Let's do that. Let's just say like, whoops, I think this is what's happening to you. Let's see if we can fix it. This is the bike seat that I was talking about. So I'm going to put air. I'm going to put air back. Okay, and I'm going to try again. So I don't know why this, there we go. I'm going to see if I can like get it to come back. And I don't know if I can save it, but we'll try. So, hey Chris G, thanks for the love. Yeah, see, I got it like back wide again. So let's see if I can work this back to the back again. And let's see if I can bring it back. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing. I've got the sides here. Okay, so it's a little bit saved. It's a little bit saved. I mean, you could keep trying this and see if you can save it. I mean, this is a relatively viable pedal. It's not as good as this one, but I think that what would help is the use a Tough Tex. Like Decamex is okay, Sempertex is okay. Nothing is as good as Tough Tex at like stretching, because that stretch, what's happening here is the outside balloon is putting too much pressure on your inside balloon, and so that's why it's forcing in this way. And then your inside balloon just like doesn't have the strength to open it back up. So that's why you don't skip stretching, and you load up 2 or even 3 times before you start anything, because then it doesn't put so much pressure on it. And then the other side of it is using your palm to like create that space. So let's do it again and see if I can do it better. My absolute favorite balloons to do this with so far has been, sorry, I know that's loud. I don't really have a fix for that. Tough Tex Sugar. Those babies stretch like amazing. They make really pretty flowers too, because they're like shiny, you know. All right, so let's do this again. Thanks for the love, you guys. Thanks for the likes. Not that it is a super big deal, but your likes tell TikTok that like I should keep doing this, so I appreciate that. All right, so we've got that in there. Let's blow it. And then I'm going to try to avoid the issue that I had before and make sure that this isn't twisted. This Decamex nozzle isn't twisted. And then put this on my 260 inflator. And the other thing that you can do when you're learning this is use clear balloons, because then you can see what's going on. I've never done that, but I've seen people do it. Oh, thanks for the rose, Chris, and the little crown, and the sunglasses. Thanks for all of the things. Anyway, clear balloons will help you see what's going on in there. All right, so we don't want to forget this step. We want to pull out the nozzles, tie it tightly, quickly. And then what do I do with my scissors? Do you guys do this? This is like maybe my #1 problem in my whole life, is whenever I'm doing stuff, I then set down my tools and lose them. Okay. So, thank you, Shelly. Let's take this back. The only thing about Tough Tex Sugar is this little step right here I cannot do. Like, it's like too sticky or something. I cannot move the 260 back. Okay. There we go. All right. So I'm going to do this one a little bit quicker. I'm going to spread my palm out, pulling this down. This is nice and stretched, so hopefully I will have a nice pedal. So I think, Melanie, I think that's my best guess as to what you have going on is that you are either, there we go, there's some more air out. You are either not stretching your balloon enough or using like a high quality enough balloon. All right, I'm gonna make a couple more of these. We'll make a 5-petal flower, see if you guys have any more questions, and then after that I'll move on to making some twisting flowers. I know a lot of you guys wanted me to do a backdrop with my live tonight. I would say that was the second most popular idea. I do have a backdrop to make. I have the like white geometric tile backdrop that I got all of the supplies ready to go. So I may do that next week on my live. I'll tell you why I decided to make the flowers this week. It actually a little bit gets into a topic that I've been wanting to talk about. But so I got a request today, a last minute request for a funeral. Somebody wants balloons for a funeral. And she said that, I don't know if it's the person planning the funeral or the person whose funeral it is, but somebody wanted balloons instead of flowers. White blood cells. I mean, these don't have to be flowers. There are a lot of things that these could be. I just happen to be making flour out of these, but maybe I'll make some white blood cells. It's a great idea. Anyway, so for this funeral, somebody wants balloons instead of flowers. And I'm like, okay, that's great, you know, celebration of life, whatever. But I was like, how cool would it be if, I mean, if I'm thinking about making these flowers for alive anyway, and I don't have any other purpose for them, maybe I'll make these flowers and then also give them to these people. I mean, they like obviously lost somebody that they loved. I'm not going to give the balloons away for free just because I feel bad for them. I do. Like, obviously, I'm a human and I have compassion and sympathy, but like also I'm not doing this for free. But like, there's still part of me that's like, well, I want to do something nice. You know? So I was like, well, what if I give them a little flower bouquet made out of balloons? And if they don't like it, they can throw it in the trash. They're not paying for it. But so anyway, I was like, well, maybe I'll do that. And the topic that I want to talk about with that is like over delivering, but not overextending. That would be an over delivery without overextending. I was going to do this anyway, so it's not like really any extra thing for me, but that would be really great for them, and that's going to make them like remember me. Okay, so here we go. I'm sorry. Tell me if you guys like can't see this well enough, but using my palm. And Melanie, I don't know if you were here when I said this, but really with any color besides white, these will show your handprints, like your oily handprints. And like you can even see it a little bit on the white, but if you have that, you can be really nerdy like me and have a nice little white glove for when you do this. So this is probably my best one yet. I really like how this one turned out. So we have the makings of a flower coming together. None of these look the same, and that's okay because flowers as they exist in nature, the petals don't all look the same. So that is like one of the best things about this. Okay, I'm gonna make, I mean, I really don't want to use the one that I intentionally messed up. So what should I do? Should I keep going and make 2 more of these, or should I switch and then come back to this? Tell me what you guys would rather see. If you're getting bored with this, I'll switch. If I don't hear from you, then I'm just gonna keep going. Everybody's favorite part. It's definitely like his favorite part is when I, that's their favorite fart too. Their favorite part, when the balloons fart. Okay. Hi, Amy. Welcome. Keep going. All right, thanks, Shelly. Thank you for the feedback. All right, so now that I am being a little bit more intentional about how I'm putting that 260 on the nozzle and not having that issue quite so much where the 260 doesn't want to inflate. All right, pulling that out. Tie these tightly and quickly. And I'll tell you guys, honestly, the most that I can say, like the best advice that I can give you about these is like probably the most boring advice, which is just practice. When I first was learning these, I had like a heap of bike seats in my bedroom, just sitting there because I was just like trying again and again. And that's how I figured out like the different things about the brand and all of that. The more you do, the easier it is and the faster you are too. And I'm going to keep doing this method that I'm telling you with the edge of a surface, but I also have gotten far enough along that I can like, don't necessarily need it. This one turned out pretty good too. All right, I'll make one more for a 5-petal flower. Alright, I'm gonna keep going. One more white flower. I haven't necessarily decided what I'm going to do for the center of the flower. So if you have any ideas, let me know. Because I'll do something. I might just make a ball, a balloon. But we'll see. You guys may also know that I also love my 260 inflator for foils because all that pumping is a lot. And the stuff is like laborious. It's hard on your body. So that's the other reason I'm really obsessed with my 260 inflator. Okay, almost there. The other thing about the sugar is even though they're pretty, it's really hard to maneuver this stuff. These things in there. But these techniques white are fine. See how I leave my hand there like literally until the end, and that's my best guess as to what you could do differently. Okay, so now we've got 5 petals. I'm just going to use some cheap, do I have cheap blue dots up here? I do. I use some cheap blue dots to put these together. I just have a sheet of these that came with, I don't know, some balloons that I bought at some point in my life. And I am just going to line these up where they want to touch. So I'm going to put a blue dot right there. And then they're also going to touch up here. See that? So I'm going to put a blue dot there too. If I was doing these for like a client, I would use U-glue like all the way. Those are far superior to these like cheap dots. But I'm not wasting them. Because I don't think I'm going to do this particular flower for that funeral. I'm going to use like the others that I make. Okay. So I'm just going to keep doing that and going around, putting my flower together. The other idea that Shelly threw out as far as like a topic for today was that she has a big setup coming up. So that is something else that like we could chat about while we're doing this. Maybe, I don't know, that might be asking too much to like be talking about too many things at once. But you know, if you want to, Shelly, you can throw that out. So another thing is you want to make your petals kind of come up vertically rather than, you want them to be, how do I say this? Like vertical rather than flat, because that's going to help. If you keep them flat, and that's also where the curve comes in, if you keep them flat, you'll need way more petals to get all the way around the circle. Whereas doing it instead of like this, we're going to do it like this. Do you see the difference? And then I'm going to be able to complete the circle with far less petals. So that's also just a little tip. If I was doing this for a client, I would totally remake this one, and maybe that one too. No, this one, yeah. But this is good enough for our purposes here today. Should I play music, you guys? TikTok has so many rules, though. I feel like I'd get in trouble for some sort of copyright violation. All right, so we're almost done. I just got one more petal to put in here. Teach us the cluster center, like where I take a big balloon and like make a bunch of little like a little grape cluster. Is that what you mean? Because if so, I can do that. Almost there. Yes. Okay. I think I will do that with a 5-inch balloon and make little clusters, because you can do it with a 12-inch balloon. You can make little clusters, but it kind of gets kind of big. Like when you make clusters with a 12-inch balloon, you end up with really what looks like 5-inch clusters, like out of 5-inch balloons. I'm pretty good with balloons, but those are so hard. How do you get them the same size? They're totally not the same size. These are not even close. I know you said you just got here, but especially before I put these together, if you had seen as I was blowing, like holding them side by side, you would see. I mean, so here, how you get them the same size is actually something that I was saying earlier I'm not really good at, which is I think using a hand pump. I have a much harder time. If you already know how to use a hand pump to do these, then you're halfway there, because I think it's a matter of counting the pumps and making sure that your 260s are the same size. Like that's really what it comes down to, is making your 260s the same size. But none of these petals are even close to the same. And this looks fine, especially once we put a center in here. That's gonna look really good. It's a flat, like flowers are in nature. They're not, mechanical. So I have seen the ones that are like perfect with like the perfectly sized flowers. And if that's what you're going for, then like, I think it's about counting the pumps. Personally, I prefer the more natural look anyway. So, all right, here we are with the flowers, or the petals. So to make a cluster center, we want to use 5-inch balloons. I think I've got some pink ones here that I'll use. And I've got two. Use my little, I don't know if you guys have watched my tutorial on making garlands, where I admit to the world that it took me a long time to figure out that that's what these attachments are for. Anyway, okay. So roll them up and then deflate them a lot, like until they lose their shape almost. So like about like that. That's probably about right. Honestly, a lot of times when I do this, I have to do it once or twice to like get back in the mode of exactly how big to make it. But so I mean, I've let almost all of the air out of this, and then I'm gonna tie them together in a way where I try to save as much latex towards the balloon, not towards the tail, which is the exact opposite of what you do when you're making a garland. But that way I have a lot more like latex to work with. And then I'm just gonna like grab these in the center, and then get a little bit of air in each hand and twist. And before you twist them all the way, you can kind of like I got it just barely twisted, and so I can kind of push air back and forth until I have it just how I like it. And then you twist it, take this other balloon and wrap it around. Now when you tell me, this is what you have in mind. And then do the same thing with this one. So since these are so small, I can actually use my hands to use it. And then do the same thing. Twisting. And there you've got your little baby cluster. I think I'm sure that people are making clusters with 260s, and you're just making a bunch of 2-finger bubbles and then like wrapping them up. Like, I'm sure that you're doing that. People are doing that. I think this is faster. And let's see if this is big enough. It's not big enough. So let me try it with, I know I said I wasn't going to, but maybe actually 11-inch balloons would be better. What do I have? I think the only 11-inch ones that I brought over are green. So let's try that. I don't think you're done, Melanie. I think there's just a lot of ways to do this. So again, I want to deflate these until they lose their shape. I'm so sure. I'm sure that I'm probably the dumb one making clusters with these balloons instead of 260s. But all right, we're gonna do the same thing with this. They're just gonna be a bit bigger. Actually, I'm thinking this might end up being a better size. So it's the same process. Which, by the way, I'm sure you guys know, this is also how you can get away with not buying 5-inch balloons, or if you run out, still making like 5-inch clusters. I did that on purpose recently with a garland. I like purposely didn't even buy 5-inch balloons. And I was like, oh, I'll just make the clusters out of my 1-inch. I don't recommend that, because this just takes more time for just a garland. Yeah, see, these are, I feel like this is going to be too big. But you could stick that in there. Do it like that. You can even do both. I don't know. What do you think about that? That'd be cute. A little bit of both. And then you could also like take a 260 and make a circle around it. So I could like nestle my green balloons inside a circular 260. We could do that. Which, do I have stuff to do that? I don't think I have the right color of 260. But, so, I don't know, do any of those, do you like any of these? I think that would be like best if I did a 260, because that there's little gaps in there. And that would close off those gaps. I'm not going to finish it off because, well, unless, I don't know, unless you want me to. But I feel like that, love it. Cool, thanks. I feel like that like serves the purpose. Like you can do that. You can do literally with these balloons, you can literally just blow up a balloon and put like one balloon in here. I've done that. Pearls around, yeah, I think that would be really cute, which with the pearls, obviously, you would definitely need a 264. I feel like live is not the place to make pearls because that sounds boring, is it not? 11 out of 10, thank you, Chris. Okay, let's switch gears and make a couple flower, like modeling flowers. And we can come back to the distortion balloons if you want to, but my fingers need to break. Okay, so let's start with a rose. I feel like a rose is not one that I see all the time. I love balloon flowers. Chris, I can't believe you found me. You guys, I'm gonna come clean. Chris is my nephew. But what a good nephew, just kicking it on here with me on a Tuesday night. Okay, so here's my first tip, and I do not see this often, but I think it is like 1,000 times worth it, is to use a 160 for your stem instead of a 260. For those of you who are not balloon fanatics, this is the difference. This is a 160 and this is a 260. In nature, flower stems are like small, so it bothers me when they're all fat, so I prefer the 160. It's a little harder to get the nozzle on, but it's doable, it's fine. So we're gonna do the stem first, and you're gonna blow this most of the way up. You can always make it smaller if you need to, but you know, you can't add more air. So I'm just gonna tie this off with the rose. The rose is the only one that I make where you have to add the petals to the stem before you twist the petals. But before we do that, we need to make the flowers of the stem. So this part's very easy. We're just gonna do this little 2-finger about twist this off, and then you lock that in by pushing the nozzle through the hole like that. Okay, and then I'm going to do 3 of those. These do not have to be perfectly the same size. Again, they're flower leaves. Like, leaves are never the exact same. Okay. And the purpose of these, besides like being cute, is you can use them to change the position of your flower once you make it. So there's your stem, and then for the rose, we're going to leave a decent amount uninflated, like about 7 fingers or so. So about maybe this much left uninflated. If you had told me a year ago that I would be doing this, I would not have believed you. I never knew that I would love modeling balloons so much. Okay, so we've got that tied off, and then we're going to add that to the stem now. With every other flower, you just kind of twist the flower, you add it later, but we're going to add it now. You just kind of want to join it in really tightly and wrap that nozzle around a bunch of times. I've seen a few different ways for roses to be made. This is the way that I prefer, / the only way that I like know by memory. So first you want to take a 4-finger twist and twist that off. And then a 2-finger pinch twist. So I've got 2 fingers here, and then I'm going to twist that like this. And then I'm going to do that again. And as you're going, you want to make sure that you give these little squeezes, because that's going to help you decrease the risk. Well, you can never eliminate the risk, decrease the risk of it popping. So another little pinch twist there. All right, and we're going to go back down, another 4 fingers back down into the stem. And then again, 4 fingers back up. You're going to lock that in by just wrapping it around. And then one more time, 2-finger bubble that we can just wrap around. Securing it by wrapping it in there. And then the last thing is well, not the last thing, but next is another 4-finger down. wrap it around the stem. Okay. So now this is sort of like the bones of the rose. I've got these 4 pieces around, and I'm kind of like squaring them up as much as I can. The top, just so we're clear, the top has 3, but down here there are 4 of this part. And then the next part, I'm going to find 2 of these that I want to go between, so it doesn't really matter. I'm going to go between these 2, make a little bit of space. I'm going to bring this up, and then I'm going to squeeze out like a lot of air out of this section, and like sort of nestle it in like that, so that it twists like that. And then I'm going to wrap it around these bubbles up here. And you want to wrap it tightly, or else it'll just pop right off. Okay, so I've got that wrapped around. And then I'm going to bring this back past this joint where I brought the skinny part up. So I'm going to bring this all the way around to this joint. And that is where I'm going to join it back in to my stem. Okay, so there I've got my rose. I want to take the process. There we go. And then I've got this extra little part that I don't need, which I know that there are people out there that can just like pop it and like with their fingers, and I don't know how to do that. Where are my scissors? See, you guys, I do this all the freaking time. I put stuff down and then forget where I put it. So I'm just gonna put a tiny little hole in there and let this deflate, and then just wrap it around a bunch to secure it. Okay. And then here's what I was talking about with the petals. You can either like leave the petals down at the bottom like this, or you can put them all up to bring the flower more forward like this, which doesn't make a lot of sense with a rose. Like I don't like a look at that, so we'll bring it back up forward or up top. So that is a rose. I see I've got this down here, which I don't usually might be able to squeeze it out, but if you're gonna put this like in a little bouquet, you can just tie this off. So there is my rose. I don't know, I could do that again another like later, but jaw is on the floor. Thanks, Chris. Let's do should we do a daisy, or should I do the braided leaf? The braided leaf is like balloons everywhere, but I feel like I've seen less of that tutorial around than the flower. Leaf, okay, I've got some opinions. Okay, well, if I'm gonna do a leaf, then I'm not gonna use a 160, I'm gonna use 260, green 260s for those. So, give me 5 of those. Which I have, braided leaf. All right, thank you, Melanie, for the additional opinion. Can you do a grape leaf? I don't know, Regina, what, I need a picture. Is the grape leaf like, where it's like all like braided bubbles? Is that what you mean by a grape leaf? I actually don't, like, maybe, but I don't know what a grape leaf is, like what it looks like off the top of my head. So I don't know if you can describe that. But until I hear from you, I'll make the braided leaf. Melanie, you're all blown up, right? But you are one and the same, right? If so, I know that you were asking about like more of, yeah, okay, more of like a ribbed leaf, and I have almost got that down. I've got it where there's space. I'm not gonna, well, I could show you the rib thing, but I'm almost there. I know it's like too late. I think you already had that set up, but I have been working on that. I have a feeling I'm letting too much air into these, so I'm not paying attention. All right. Hi, Zay, thank you. So for a braided leaf, you can do this with 5 or 7 260 balloons. For the sake of this, I'm gonna do just a 5 one, but it's the same process, just with more. If you make it with 5, it's gonna be skinnier. If you make it with 7, it gets wider. It's really the only difference. Oh yeah. All right, almost there, one more. Again, I don't know how people are living their lives with hand pumps. It just feels like too much. Okay, so 4 of these we're going to tie into dupes. There's 2, and 4 more, or 2 more to make 4. the other one, can you see this? We're gonna lay like this, and then bring this down and around to close over the joints of the dupes, and then tie these together like this. I'm trying not to knock things over, but I don't know I am. Okay, and then it's harder to see this, but we're gonna do the same thing with this nozzle by bringing it inside of that loop to tie it off. Securely. Okay, so now we have two sticking out and one down the bottom. And what we're gonna do is take the top, I know this is the bottom of the screen, but it's the top to me, the top ones, and we're gonna braid these down over top to meet each other like this. And where they're gonna meet each other, we're gonna make about a 2-finger bubble of this one, okay? And that's where we're gonna join them, these top ones. And you can do it like this, so you join them one at a time, or you can bring them all together. I mean, I think that's just honestly not a matter of how coordinated you are. And then you're gonna repeat that. I have seen people say that you need to be cautious of what balloon is in the center. I haven't found really that matters. You just need to have a balloon in the center. And when you're dealing with all the same color like this, like, I think it's hard to keep track of what balloon is in the center. So I've got another 2-finger bubble here. I'm gonna bring these down. Join them all together like that. So there, I did it all at once. So either way, see? Either way is fine. And then I don't know which one was in the center, but this one's in the center now. If you guys know of a reason that like it really matters to pay attention to what balloon was ever in the center, let me know. I haven't figured that out. So, Chris, are you like inviting your friends? I don't know how I feel about it. If so, I'll let us pick his friends. Melanie, the reason that mine were all mixed up, it doesn't matter. Good, I'm glad somebody agrees with me on that. The reason that I almost figured out the ribbed leaf is because I was working on a windmill recently, and I was like trying to make like literally a spinning, rotating windmill with blades for a golf like hold. For this like business event that was happening around me, and I mean I did do it and it looked okay, but honestly like the logistics and the mechanics, like it's like one of the most frustrating things that I've done in recent memory, and I ended up like literally throwing it all out and starting over again. And what I ended up doing was I did make a windmill, but I did it out of Distortion petals instead of trying to make 260 blades. But I'll show you. Maybe I'll make a YouTube out of that, of my failure, because that's basically what it was, failure. Which is important, right? Gotta have failures. So you just keep doing this, where you make a 2-finger bubble in the middle, and keep braiding your way down. And then you can keep going really as long as you want, and you can even join in more 260s to make it like longer and longer. I'm not going to do that for this one, but you can. I don't know if you're still here, Regina, but I have a guess as to what the braid leaves are, but I'm really curious, because I could do that next, what I think you're talking about. I don't know, does anybody else know exactly for sure what we're referring to when we call it? I'm also doing this really quickly. I wish that I was making these 2-finger bubbles a little bit smaller, but I'm in it now. Alright, I'm just going to do one more here, and then I will move on and do the other. I will do the other leaf type that I think that she may be talking about, but I'm going to tell you right off the bat that it will be my first time doing it. It's a technique that I've seen, but I think I can do, but that I might be trying to do. So now that I'm at the bottom, I'm going to stop. What I've done, if you notice, is I'm joining them all now to the same joint, so that they're all in the same place, and then I'm just going to one by one cut these off and tie them up. Oh, there you are. Okay. It kind of looks like a 3-leaf clover, but with one arch and not a heart shape. It kind of looks like a 3-leaf clover. I'm not picturing it. I'm sorry. I'm sure that like if I saw a picture, I'd be like, oh, but I don't know. Regina, I don't know if you are from like where you found me, but if you don't know, I have a Facebook group called the Balloon Hub, Hot Deals and Cool Designs. And if you want to join that, that's like a place where we just, you know, talk about this stuff. Like I announce when I'm going live. I also post a lot of like deals on just like balloon equipment. And you could go there and join and post a picture of what you have in mind. And then maybe I could do that in my next one. Why is my, you guys, unable to verify. TikTok says that there's inactivity. We have to be more lifelike, I guess. So, I mean, I'm not being inactive. Look at all these likes that I have. Thank you guys. I find that really hurting my feelings, TikTok. Anyway, I'm sorry, Regina, but I'm not picking up what you're throwing down. All right, it's 10. So I think maybe I'll do one more and maybe call it a night. I just posted on your Facebook invite to today's session. So the only thing is, can I leave this? I don't think I could. Well, I guess I could get on my computer, which I don't have with me. I mean, then I really would have inactivity. All right, I don't know where that went, so I'm just gonna tie these up again. All right, so there's a leaf. I will trim these off that you can add to your flower arrangements. All right, I'm gonna, you know what? It's not like, just, guys, count to 10, okay? No, count to 15. I'm gonna run and get my laptop so that I can look at what Regina's asking for, okay? I'll hurry. All right, I'm back. Let's see if we can figure this out together. We'll go to my group. Are you Elevated Charm? Is that you, Regina? Okay, so these are distortion flowers. I see. Or they're distortion, like clovers, right? So we're talking about this. Can you add an additional 260 to it to make the leaves longer? I wanted mine to hand down. Okay, yes, Regina. To make the palm leaf, or whatever you want to call it, longer, you can. It's too late now because I tied it off, but I will make another one. But what you would do is, I mean, I guess it's not technically too late, but I don't know how you're doing it, but you would join in the next 260 at a joint, like where you make that 2-finger bubble, like these little 2-finger bubbles, you would tie in the nozzle of your next two 260s. I don't know if that makes sense, but I could do that maybe on a YouTube video, because this takes a long time. Yeah, okay. Okay, Regina, I am not going to attempt this today. I think that I could do it, but I have not made one of these like yet, and I don't exactly, I'm like not sure I want to do it for the first time live, but it looks to me like what this is, where my 260s go? It looks like it's two 260s. I would love to learn the grapes also. Yeah, me too. Okay, so this is something that I'll work on, and then either I'll do it live or maybe actually I'll make a YouTube on it. But it looks like the 260s are like this. Like one is like this, and then the other one is like this, right in there. I'm having fun making this leaf. This is what I think is going on in there. So I'm going to go with that and practice and see if I can figure it out, and if I can, I will post a YouTube on it, because I think it's probably doable, but I don't know. It's 10 o'clock. I don't feel like this is the right time for me to try it for the first time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually show you a daisy, which I know all of you that have done balloons have probably done these before, but I'm going to show you how I do the center, because it's not something that I see a lot of people do, and I am partial to it, and I think that it is better than anything else. So I'm going to do that real quick. I think these are daisies. I don't know flowers that well. So we'll leave a decent amount uninflated there and tie this off. And then things that I have found with the daisy that matter a lot are this part, this like softening it up, or else you get this like kind of bulby looking petal. And I like to do approximately 3 fingers for the petals. And then this is like just a little thing that I think really matters. I don't want to tie it like that, where the end of the nozzle is making like a joint. I want to actually more so like join it tighter like that. So hopefully that makes sense, but it makes a difference in the shape of your petal. It makes it a lot more symmetric. Okay, so, and then as with all the others, we're going to tie that off by joining that nozzle through that hole. And then again, a squeeze, and then about 3 fingers. And then you just always want to keep the joint in the same place. That's like a mistake that I had made with these daisies before, is like I end up with like a couple different joints and then the center gets all like stretched out. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm not doing a good job of measuring right now. I'm going fast. I've also found with these that 6 petals is kind of a sweet spot. I feel like 5 ends up looking too spaced out, and 7, if I can get 7 to work, it looks nice, but a lot of times 7 just gets like too crowded. Okay, so this is what I mean by more than one joint. So I've got this joint here, but then the rest of them are all the way over here, and that's not going to look good in the end. So I'm just going to join these together, and now they're all coming from the same place. Petals. I'm going to spread these out. So now I've got like a nice tight center because I got all of them in the same joint. I would recommend cutting this off. I'm going to say this in as much innuendo as I can, but I recently made balloon swords, and I was practicing with clear 260s, the ones that I use for my distortion flowers. And let me just say that when a balloon sword deflates, especially when it's from a clear, it has a certain look to it, and I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it, especially if you're in mixed company. I'll just say that, because if you're still here, I'll send you a picture of it. Okay, so I've got my little flower here, so you know where this is going. Yeah, like, Melanie, I wish that I could post it in the group, but like, I think it would get flagged. Like, it really has a certain look to it. Again, I was making them for practice, and I gave them to my kids because I think it's fun, and I found it in my daughter's room. I was like, what is this? It's just a flower, or just a sword. Okay, let's move on. So what I see a lot of people do with these is either use a little 5-inch, like just barely blown up, and pop it in here, or the tip of a 260, which is okay, but I think I prefer what I'm going to show you a little bit more. And I'm not saying that I literally came up with this. I'm sure that I didn't. I don't know who does this. I'm sure people do. But it is what I think is best. So you're just going to get a little bit of air and another 260, and then I'm going to squeeze this air out just so that I have more of a tail. And then a little bit more. Let it out until I have like the middle of a flower, so it's going to be pretty small. About like that. And then push it in like this, in between the petals. There we go. And then I'm just going to tie this together in the back. I think that this avoids getting that, I feel like this is a word that I'm going to get in trouble for saying, you know, the end of the balloon look, where it like sticks out, if you feel me. Okay, so I just think that I love the look of this better. It's like cleaner, it's rounder, it's just like cute as a buttoner, so I prefer that center of the daisy. So, and then I would join this to my 260, or no, my 160 stem, which I'll make that again real quick while I say goodnight, because I think I'm going to stop there. There are also tulips that I didn't get to, so maybe I will come back another time and do those. And I'll work on the grape leaf and see what I can get together there. And yeah, so all right, I hope this is fun. I would love to know like what you want to see next. Like I said, a lot of people were interested in doing this backdrop. You're welcome, Melanie. So I may make a backdrop next time. There's also still, this is my first time, thank you. Oh good, Regina, I'm so glad. I don't know, Regina, if you were saying that like you literally just joined the Facebook group or if you've been in it, but like I earlier, like over the weekend, posted like what should I talk about on this live, and I'll do that again just to kind of, yes, I would try that. The grapes themselves, so I think that the grapes themselves, you would use this technique. I don't know if you came in, Regina, when I was doing this, but I'm guessing that like this is, but you'd obviously keep going and make more of them. If this is like the look of what you're talking about, then yeah, I can do that. But, oh, and then, by the way, the center is what I'm going to use. You missed that. I'll do it real quick. I'll do that real quick. I know some of you probably saw it, but for Regina, I'll do one more. Anyway, so we got this joined in, and then I would trim those off, which I'll do in a minute after I have left you people alone. Okay, so for this, I'll do another pink one. I also need to get like one of those like rolling balloon bins that people have instead of just this. But here we are. All right. I'm not even going to show you what the rest of this room looks like. I'm working on it, you guys. Okay, so 5-inch balloons, Regina. If you do this with 11-inch balloons, it's going to look more like this, which I think you came in for this. Like these are made out of, this is the same technique, the green, made out of 11-inch balloons. So I think with the grape, you need to go smaller with the 5-inch. Get them down super small until they lose their shape, like they're no longer round. That's about right. Because if you leave too much air in these, you won't be able to work with them. They'll just be too, like, they'll pop. They'll be too much. And then when you tie them together, you want as much of the neck in the balloon part and not on the tail part. And then, and this is one of those things that like gets easier with practice, but in like the feel of it with your hands, but you're gonna try to grab it right down the middle. When I first started doing this, or for a while, I was doing it this way in twisting because it was easier to get my hands on. However, I think the end result is more consistently better when you go this way. So that's my little thing there, but you kind of grab them and then give them just a little bit of a twist. And before you finish twisting, you can kind of play with which side the air is in until you have them as even as you want them, and then twist them all the way. And then you're going to take this and wrap that around that twisted center that you just made. And then with these small ones, you can just hold this in your hand, or you can like hold it against your body with your palm so that you have your hand available again. And do the same thing on this one. Twist it, and then join those two together like you would do. And applaud. And then there's your little mini cluster. And I think to make grapes, you would just keep going and tie these together with the nozzle like this. I think right now we're having more of a raspberry, but if you kept going, you could get grapes. So that's the best way that I know of. And I think we've all probably seen that AI picture of the berry setup. I feel like that's like, I've seen it in so many places where it's like these like raspberries like with this backdrop and it's like something about berry sweet, and I see that posted every now and then and people are like, how do you make these berries? And everybody's like, it's AI. I think this is about as close as you could get to that berry, so or that grape berry look. So anyway, you do a lot of these. Yes, great, you're welcome. I'm glad that worked. So all right, with that, let's sign off. Thank you all so much for being here. Let me know all of the things, what you want, what was good, what's bad, what you need. I don't know, like I've said before, I like doing this, I like being here. This is like my favorite little hobby, and I like sharing what I know. I'm not like the world's leading expert by any means, but what I do know I want to share and I want to help. So and I love the community. So thank you guys for being here. We'll chat over in the group, and I will post on YouTube anything else that I come up with, and I'll probably also post this replay too. So all right, that's all I got. Thanks for hanging with me. Good night, guys.